I had snakes when I was younger, and I got a couple geckos. You don't really see it in them, but they have a personality for sure. Getting to know a reptile and having them bring that personality out was pretty cool. The last thing I remember before it all happened, I was living with my dad at the time, taking care of my geckos, and I got sick and I was unresponsive, throwing up on and off. I was slurring a lot. I was in so much pain I couldn't get out of my bed. We went to the hospital. I had what my dad described to me as a seizure.
They intubated him because he wasn't protecting his airway. So from that point, he was no longer conscious. They admitted him at that hospital in New Mexico, and that's when his dad called me.
My mom is the person I can count on at all times, no matter what it is. She's there, always. My grandma, her mom, passed away a couple years ago, and she reminds me of the rock that my grandma was.
My heart was just aching, and I get there and I see him, and he looks like my mom did when she was in the hospital. I thought he was dying. I thought I was losing my son. That night, they did an echo on him and said something's wrong with his heart and they can't take care of him at this hospital. So I said, Loma Linda's home. Can we just get him home? I trust our providers here. I know that he'll be getting the best care.
So when he first came in, he came in quite sick, a condition called cardiogenic shock, meaning that his blood pressure was low, his heart wasn't perfusing his organs. Cardiogenic shock will carry about 50% mortality, so half of the patient will not survive. Then he developed myocarditis. That will cause decrease in the function of the heart, and then his blood pressure will drop, his kidney function, his liver, the lungs will be affected.
All of that put so much stress on my heart that it was inflamed and my heart stopped working. I have like very faint memories staring at the ceiling, and then I had another seizure. After that, I just wasn't able to remember anything. So I had a heart pump placed in my femoral artery that was pumping blood for me.
So the Impella is a device that goes from the femoral artery, goes inside the heart. Its job is to pull the blood out of the heart and pump into your organs. When it does that, it unloads the heart. But if the heart did not recover, what are his options? Because this Impella cannot stay for a long time. Our plan was to actually exchange that to a upgraded form of that Impella and then see if he needs heart transplant.
Up to that point, it was just, can he live through this situation? And then you go from that to, okay, if he lives through this situation, how is the quality of his life going to be? And all of the things that were bringing him so much joy in his life at that point, he would lose them.
I would have had to get rid of all my reptiles if I did end up getting a transplant. If I didn't get a transplant, I would have had a permanent heart pump. I would have been hooked up to a machine 24/7.
We were waiting to see if his body would start healing and for him to wake up. When he started to open his eyes, he was so confused, and they had mentioned that he had been there for a few days already, and to see the realization on his face that he had lost that time and he didn't. He's like, what do you mean I just lost 5 days of my life?
Being hooked up to all the machines, having the lines coming out of my neck and seeing myself like that, it was difficult. But my heart started to pump on its own again. So instead of putting the pump in my chest, they took the one out of my leg, and my heart stabilized after that.
I truly believe Brayden received a miracle when he was here. My son's life and his heart was in their hands. And I saw how they took care of him.
I wouldn't be here without them. They are the best doctors I've ever encountered. I'm at a point where I'm able to do things on my own again. Simple things that I haven't been able to do in a long time. You have to be grateful for what you have, because it can be gone without you even realizing it.